Karma speed, very slippery.
Well, I like this from CLG, actually chaining things up and invading early level 1. Trying to get some deep vision down. Should be traded here, although Huni has not put his trinket ward down despite being on that side of the map yet.
And you talked about it in game 1, Kobe, that having a Braum sometimes invading is the best thing to do because you might catch somebody out, an incredibly powerful level 1 champion. And so they just force their way in there to get a little bit more vision. We'll see what they end up doing with it. If it's a cheeky start from CLG, because they have had some of those augmented level 1s back in lane swap days, even in standard lanes, they could do some really strange things that would throw off the enemies.
Definitely admire CLG's creativity as Huni and Reingover going to be moving to this top side of the jungle. CLG should get that info because they did ward the blue side of the jungle. And looks like Xmithie also going to start on that same side. So see what Darshan does again into this matchup. He played it in game number 2. And as always, look for that bottom lane pressure. Things could get very messy.
Yeah, I mean, the margins of victory for Huni in the early trades, in early laning with Darshan, were very small. And Darshan was actually, giving just as good as he got early on in the game before Huni started to whittle away at his turret and open up for that dive. We'll see if it goes differently this time around. I believe Stixxay got all those melees, plus the added bounce onto Turtle, so a huge trade right there.
Good bit of damage as Afro looking to get aggressive. He's getting kited out as Turtle and Adrian with some great poke out onto the Braum, but Stixxay, as the crit shot, just shoots Wildturtle in the face with it.
Gonna get root too.
There again, he's to go all in. Does not. CLG keeping a little calmer now in the bottom lane, but Wildturtle taking a lot of beating already. Gonna have to heal up with that potion.
And this is a lane that's supposed to be a little bit of a bully here, and it's honestly Stixxay kind of 1v2ing at the start there, just getting all of the HP out of Wildturtle. And now they're calling Xmithie down. They don't have a ward for this just yet. If he goes.
He's going. Tunnel's in there. Xmithie wants it. He gets the knock-up. Turtle manages to flash himself out of the way with it.
He
Adrian got tagged. That's not good news. Adrian, can he run away?
Reingover.
Help's coming. Reingover, double belly bop there. Maybe going to turn things around, but CLG are standing firm again. They'll fight Reingover here as he gets stunned up. Stixxay needs it again, and that's first blood Xmithie.
And Wildturtle, he was pushed off. He wanted to get there first, but Stixxay cut him off.
Because Stixxay continually chunking out Turtle here, can't join the party, and CLG do end up capitalizing on that gank. They force it again. First blood, this time over to Xmithie. Xmithie usually will turn first blood money into an early sightstone and translate that into vision for the team, though.
But last time he played Rek'Sai, it was interesting because he went for the Titanic Hydra build and didn't build the sightstone, which was a little bit uncharacteristic of him.
All right, let's take a look here. Comes in for the classic over the tri-bush and goes for the flash. Even though this W misses, Adrian's forced off to the other side and flashes in a line with the skill shot from aphromoo. So because you get tagged and the slow does land, means that they're going to keep up the chase here. And even with Reingover coming, extra heal here from Stixxay to make sure they can catch the rest of the kill.
And that was beautiful from Stixxay as well. He's throwing out the shots, tempting Wildturtle to come over, and he has the crit shot available, so he sits on that one to zone Wildturtle off, but also means that when he shows up to the fight, he gets that big burst of damage and the Deathfire touch.
You did see in game 2 that, oh, never mind, Darshan back in onto Huni. Does cancel the recall, trading again nicely. Huni going to pop the passive and should return relatively quickly to the top side, but Darshan getting a bit more of a foothold in this lane this time around. No early TP burnt just yet for the Shen. In fact, it may be Huni that's forced that a little earlier, but that bottom lane action we were expecting does bear fruit there for CLG.
Yeah, bottom lane has been the focus of this series, and this time around, huge victory for Counterlogic Gaming. Not only did they get that kill, but it translated into a CS lead for Stixxay as well. And that is very good things when you are on Jhin trying to get your flat armor penetration as quickly as possible.
There is a bit of an advantage here, though, in terms of pressure. In favor of Immortals in the bottom side, they have all these caster minions, but they're probably just going to use it for a good back. And Adrian will try to keep Stixxay from backing so that Wildturtle is able to actually pick up possibly a tier.
Yep.
Want that early tier on Ezreal. You want that back.
Great little block there from Afro. It's a little low, so I think that's part of why CLG are playing back here. Stixxay happily farming away, got about 10 CS ahead, and we'll actually look for recalls here.
Yeah, see what they do with that gold. Adrian, try to interrupt it, but Afro is very keen to what he's trying to do.
Good defense there from Afro. Is checking with the mid lane for the first time, actually. Just even on CS, who he did go back a little early and burn the TP. He's got a quick blasting one, which is quite aggressive for this matchup. Pobelter though should be fine. Got a Kindle Gem looking for that early Spirit Visage. And again, mid laners kind of want to farm up here.
Yeah, Huhi actually feeling really good now, just getting to that level 6.4 Kassadin. Getting wave control as well with the Blasting Wand, taking it down early is really big to try and open up opportunities for him. He did just use the teleport to get back to lane though, so there won't be any of those early on Kassadin teleporting down to bottom lane and picking up those snowball kills off bottom lane. But definitely later on in the game, we'll look at the side lanes for him to affect, because Shen also approaching that level 6 point where they get to create action.
Yeah, and he can actually deliver Shen pretty deep into the fights too with that Rift Walk. But he also, because he got that Void Staff, the Blasting Wand, it's going to go into a Rod of Ages, and he didn't go for the Catalyst, so he wanted to have that early wave through like you were talking about, Kobe, so he has that break point. And just speaking of items all around, it's the Tiamat again for Xmithie. He was always that Sightstone guy. He's always the one who was about that vision, but against Immortals, he wants to be able to play on their level and have the damage when these skirmishes break out.
It makes it a lot easier to be in the right place if you can clear the camps that much quicker with the Tiamat. You can burn through those things and then get in place for counter ganks, try and get over to the ward battle game. Doesn't actually go into the rush, so Immortals pink ward does stand, and that's pretty big for them in the mid lane. Never mind, Huhi walks in, and he will find it.
Takes it away. Huni taking damage again from Darshan. There's a nice taunt's going to come out. Spirit's Refuge will keep him safe. Huni, though, just navigating his trades pretty nicely. Xmithie looking for something here.
Really enjoying that top lane battle, because they are constantly trading up there. Meanwhile, though, we have a little bit of a jungle invade, as you say, and the Wolf Spirit does see Xmithie.
Yeah, that top lane battle is actually, like, don't try this in solo queue, kid, because it's very risky. You see how often they are trading, and Huni is actually losing most of these trades right now, but he's getting a small CS advantage every time he does it. Maybe Darshan misses one or two, and now we're seeing it be almost double digit now in terms of how far ahead Huni is.
You see pressure definitely still building up for the top lane, but Darshan does have his ultimate, so can make his way bottom. Goes in again here as these trades just do not stop.
Yeah, like, Shen just comes out on top of these trades for a good period in the game, and since he's a monolith-based champion, Huni, when he keeps trading like that, he'll eventually run out of mana, and we've seen it a few times. It looks scary for Huni, but if he plays it right, he eventually gets this large CS advantage.
And then just all back to lane for pressure. Now he's got tempo up on the top side as well. Teleports are synced up as well for both top laners. The only problem is, of course, that staying united. Bottom lane does have to be a bit cautious. Not really a problem, though, as they're getting pushed under turret by CLG.
This might even be a dive brewing here for CLG. Xmithie going to look for that first tunnel.
Huhi is also roaming through the jungle right now so that they don't have any early alert system.
Here we go. Adrian going to get hit up by the first few bolts. Turtle does get tagged by the Concussive Boys, but Darshan's in as well. Adrian Knight's going to move in, and Stixxay with another crit, as now Turtle's going to get chased down. Massive snare on the other end, and Huhi gets the second.
I fell into that classic trap. Oh, bottom lane, yeah, just farm under turret. Play safe, right? We can't play safe. They're 5-man diving us.
Yep. Everybody comes down to the bottom side. In Huhi looked like he was trying to roam as well, maybe get a piece of it if he had gotten away. But this turret, it's going to go down first. See the top side, maybe a little bit.
The race is on. Who's going to get that first turret money?
First turret gold is very important as well, because they gave up a decent amount of pressure. Huhi getting right back to that mid lane, though, so they don't give up any more mid.
But this is the big thing, is when we talk to some teams, they talk about first turret gold is really meaningful when it's on a single person. It's that 650 chunk. 2 people get it, it's 388. And when you spread it over 4 people, it's just honestly not that recognizable of a lead. At that point, it's kind of small.
I don't know. I'm an old school.
You're
Gold
old
is
school.
gold. Give
gold.
it to my team. I'm happy. All right, here we go. This is how they started out, though. Lands the first 2 shots to get the slow, and they do, Adrian, there's no chance for him there. He actually did burn the flash earlier, too, so that will be one summoner that they have to keep track of, and maybe Adrian will be another return to target, which is actually scary for Immortals, because Turtle already is going to be, pretty safe on the Ezreal. They're actually leaving him by himself now to clean out the bottom lane.
Seems like they trust him to collect that farm, as CLG continuing to navigate nicely here. Actually up almost 2,000 gold, so that turret and the 3 quick kills they've gone, it seems like they've found their aggression from the opening in the series. They're actually going to swap Stixxay and Afro to this mid lane as well and try and apply some pressure. Huni, I think, currently visiting. He's going to hang out and clear what he can, but Immortals may have to move there as well. You said about Total. He's left alone. That could be a bit dangerous in the long lane.
He does have double summoners to blow if he does get caught out. So they're kind of taking this into account when they make this risk. They're like, okay, Turtle, you're gonna be by yourself in bottom lane. We're gonna send Adrian to try and help out with the ward fight.
I think? No, not
No,
quite.
Oh, that's a blue scuttle.
Attempt.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Good try, though. Good
Yep,
attempt
yep.
there.
It looked like the Karma Cube.
Definitely. I'm having fun in this bizarro world where CLG are constantly pressuring the portals early on, right?
It's really unusual because CLG was always the team that had to wait for that mid game. You think about MSI as well, like their early game was not strong for most of this split, whereas Immortals had one of the strongest early games in the entire league.
Well, I love
Top
this
two.
I love this here from CLG. They're going to take this Infernal. We've seen very late Drake takes, and maybe it's because the first one's a Cloud Drake is why, but Infernal, a good priority dragon to get. They will pick it up here, and nice and at a good pace as well there in 11 minutes in. Stixxay is farming out what he can, looking for that Ghost Blade relatively soon. Huni back to his old tricks with the Sheen. I imagine we'll see a similar Trinity Force start, and he did bully Darshan nicely with a 20 CS lead so far. Huni is set up to do work once again.
This looks like it might be a stun here. Oh,
Just a bait. Xmithie's like, hello. Gonna chase him out of the way. Huni's pulling pressure. We'll see what Immortals can maybe get done on the other side.
doesn't have Smite quite up just yet.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between
here comes
pressure and Xmithie just farming his Grom.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, it looks like it's just grabbing that toad. Because honestly, whoa, actually interesting switch here with the Jhin over to mid lane. The AD carries, I've talked about it a lot. Switching Jhin to mid lane just feels so good because there's so much kill pressure here early on in the game. It's one of those early spiking ADs. We keep talking about the flat armor penetration, but opening up the ultimate around mid lane is so much pick potential. And then he just slip Kassadin right into a side lane. He wants to be split pushing. His teleport is available. CLG, into their old school strategy of 1-3-1. And meanwhile, the first one of the 1-3-1 is starting to gain some momentum here against Huni.
Yep, it honestly still wins it right now, but look at this, a fight on the side, and this might be the open up you're talking about.
Mid lane Jhin, he opens up.
He's looking for it there. Xmithie low gets also back by Reingover. Not quite dead yet, but Reingover will collect the kill. Stixxay just fires into the wind.
Mid lane Jhin opening up against full health target. Shucks.
Yeah, they were invading and they only brought 2 members, and then, well, you gotta leave one of them behind. So it was Xmithie there, got picked up, and so that actually takes a little bit of the wind out of the sails there.
Yeah, so
CLG.
The other thing that a lot of the pro players have been talking about recently too, and Crumbs was actually talking about this, is the evolution of your warding buddy system and fighting over vision has gone from just the support to the support plus the jungle to the support plus the jungle plus the mid laner all having to go at the same time. Because when you do get skirmishes like that, you need to have everybody really close because only a couple of seconds of damage mean the difference between you winning and getting killed like that. Stixxay, yes, he is on Jhin, can open up from far away, but it was too late as Xmithie and co were too low on health already to get finished off, and Immortals get that kill back for themselves.
Feels like Immortals kind of playing the game they want to here. Still, they are still up, but they're slowing it down once again. We saw this in game 2. Things definitely were a little quieter moving towards that mid game. But Immortals, they're getting farm on all 3 lanes here. I mean, Stowe is CLG, I guess, so they're happy to trade. But we are approaching, again, another very explosive-looking mid-game where one teamfight could blow the game open again.
And especially with something like a Kassadin that has backline access, him getting onto Wildturtle, we are going to have some explosive fights where you kind of trade frontliners, where you're probably going to send the Kassadin towards the Ezreal, and you're probably going to send Huni straight at the enemy AD carry.
Red Rover, send
You don't even
over.
You don't even have to ask to send Huni over. He's already there most of the time.
Battle of the Titans continues. Darshan again winning a lot of these early trades, but Huni is waiting for that first item, so I can certainly understand why. In general, teams are looking good. Iceborne Gauntlet done early for Turtle Rod Evaders and Ghostblade there for Huhi and Stixxay respectively. And CLG, they're still trying something here with the 3-lane pressure. They really want mid.
Yeah, and you can see the vision battles do continue. Stixxay's moving up the minion wave. aphromoo supporting Xmithie in that effort to kill the pink ward.
I'm always nervous, because last time this happened, I thought no one was going to die, and then Darshan always killed Huni.
Yeah, this matchup kind of sucks if you are faint of heart. If you try to cower,
Yeah.
if you're a coward, you try to get out of there, then you definitely lose the trade. So you have to be a man, but you have to know when to back off a little bit.
Certainly very delicate. CLG again, making sure Stixxay's hanging out, pivoting around him here in the mid lane, but Turtle's actually come over as well. It's like, you know what, I like this mid lane free farm thing. I'll give it a go. Assuming he does teleport himself back to lane with the ultimate.
Yeah, doesn't want to miss any CS here and keep that small advantage that he has now.
Trinity Force up as well, so Huni ready to brawl.
Oh, that is a pretty big break point. I don't know if I would want to set up a push gank against the just completed Trinity Force, but Darshan does.
Yeah, he's going to go try for it, but here's Reingover ruining his day. Darshan, he does have everything available. Can he get out?
Aphro is also heading up there. Meanwhile, mid lane.
Oh my god, they're just going in for it. Huhi, will he dive? He actually does get damage down, but not quite enough. Looks like Darshan also escaped with his splash, so everything's just fine.
So CLG move all of their resources up to collapse on top, and they make a move mid lane. That means that bottom lane, the split there from Pobelter, Vladimir, went all the way to the turret, and that is going to be some extra minions that do go down. He does not cut off Huhi on his way down to clean them up, so I think there will be inaction here as everybody just tries to stabilize and grab the minions.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's just trying to do right now. TP actually going to be used by Darshan to get back to the top side, just to keep this pressure up. That's why we keep seeing the TP from Shen back to the lane, so he can stand united elsewhere, doesn't need that teleport, and then Huni constantly uses his ultimate to get back, because if you let up any pressure, you give a free lane to the other person.
Pressure everywhere! We need some heart rate monitors on the top laners, because they are just, constantly fighting, waiting for the teleport opportunities. One of the most strenuous things that you have to use in a game is coordinating with the rest of your team. When do I use my teleport? Staying united, does it come in? Because it's such a valuable cooldown, and it can mean a very big swing in the game if you use it incorrectly.
Here comes Huni.
$5 uses it. There he goes. Again, every single time he'll use it that way.
Well, it looks like Drake could be the next thing. 10 seconds now till Ocean Drake will spawn. Crab this time goes over to Immortals, manages to secure some vision around it. You have to think they are going to move in for this objective, maybe fancy mid a bit more, so we'll see where the priority lies. But teams are positioned for a brawl here. Again, much like Game 2, we're going to building up to this fight. CLG have a slim lead, but that's just what it is. It's slim.
Yep, because both teams really matching each other here. Switching AD carry support over to the mid lane, try and clear out the waves. Vladimir answering the casted and split push, because bottom lane, very easy to get over to that Drake fight with Ghost. Don't need the teleport on Vladimir. And Pobelter looking to make another one of those big plays at the next Drake fight. It will be Ocean, so I don't know how hard they will commit to it. Remember, the fight is going to be more important than the Drake. Because if you win that big team fight in a big way, you can take all these standing turrets that are out there, get a lot more gold. Whereas a mid-game Ocean Drake at 18 minutes, not a huge swing. So be very cognizant of your positioning according to the fight that will come out, rather than trying to smite steal or sacrifice your life to do something like that.
Thanks, Professor. I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, I definitely think the Ocean Drake, not always worth fighting over. It's more the fight itself that people are trying to get. It's that kind of that point that everybody wants to be at.
Well, Vlad versus 2 should be okay for Pobelter. Maybe not actually. Huhi going in for it. Does get some good poke damage down. Pobelter not going to quite get that Crimson Russian powered Q, but should heal up pretty quickly.
Yeah, just to assert dominance over the blue buff area for the Dragon for CLG. So just trying to push him out, get those pink wards gone.
Pressure again, just starting to pile up everywhere. Huhi's still going back in with the Pobelter, and he wants it a little more. He might be going to get forced out. Huhi looking nice. But we have a fight in our hands. Huni going to TP in. Huhi now going to get stand united on Darshan. Going to try and cover it as Xmithie and Stixxay's ulti are cutting them off. Huni will have caught out position in the front line, but he's relatively tanky. Xmithie flashed himself over to the wall, I think, or maybe it's on his way out. But Darshan a little too low. Huni finally claims a victim, ults himself out to safety, and Immortals going to surge forward. They take out Huhi, Reingover makes the blade a flank too, and Pobelter straight forward. Immortals get a clean house here.
I tell you, the E not breaking on Sanguine Pool for Vladimir was one of the best things to ever happen to him. Huge follow-up there from Pobelter. Does burn both summoners, and Immortals get the better of CLG in the Drake fight.
And it looks like a big part of that was, hold on.
Going in again. Xmithie trying to defend the red buff, maybe ill-advised.
Yeah, he does have smite as well.
Huni wants it.
Oh, and Huni gets what he wants!
Unfortunate there for Xmithie. As like you said, Immortals did ignore the Drake. They just wanted the team fight and they won it handily.
Keep your eyes on the kills. I mean, this all started out, remember, Huhi was constantly on Pobelter, just poking the bear here. Keeps on aggressing into the jungle really deep. And they do have all the means to collapse. You know, Jhin is going to pop the ultimate. They're a little bit spread out. And this is actually fortunate for CLG that they get that disengage. Huhi flashes right before Gragas ultimate. So that's kind of a dream disengage. But then they go right back in. And it's a 4-on-5 because Stixxay's walking over and ult is timed out. Exactly. There's the tunnel there from Xmithie, and they do collapse on Darshan. And
that looked like a little bit of a split mindset there, because it looked like Huhi and Darshan wanted to turn it back around, and Stixxay was using a disengage type ultimate there. Because at that point, you'd really love it when these guys are pretty low and that you'd be able to get that execute damage off.
Keep seeing it from CLG. They've looked very clean in these fights as the Immortals do get their cake and eat it too. Dragon going to go over to them as they pick up the Ocean. Immortals just really step things up after that game 1 loss, looking very together here. Pobelter on the Vlad has looked wonderful. It's 2-0-3 right now. And CLG, they're still doing their thing. The Immortals is doing it a little bit better. Although the gold is dead even as I say that, so this game is still got a long way to go.
And to be honest, this is a very impressive showing from Counterlogic Gaming, because everybody was expecting Immortals. You know, they took Cloud9 to 5 games. They were very powerful coming in, and CLG got swept by Team Solo Mid. Well, this game, neck and neck, game 3, already took a game off of them. It's actually kind of uncharacteristic of CLG, and they might be up on an upswing here.
Yeah, I mean, CLG are the underdogs. They're used to being the underdogs, though, very often in their history, and still fighting here. Very close series, 1-1. Immortals definitely looking like they want this game, but look at that gold. Very even as far as they go. 1 Drake apiece. The thing is, kind of worried here about the end game. We'll see, though. A lot of vision wars going on right now. Okay, no. Every time they collapse here inside the jungle, I think
I know, it's like,
myself for the action because they're fighting over the blue buff.
Well, blue buff this time going to go over to Reingover.
Pobelter grabs it there with the tides.
Gives them a little bit extra, more AP.
He'll take it. Not too bad there. As Darshan and Huni still here. Cue the music at this point because they're running circles around each other. Darshan still getting ahead in a lot of these trades, but Huni, I think, has to spend some gold as well. So there's definitely a push and pull here. CLG going to keep fighting here. And
push and pull and punch and kick and bite. These guys have been just all over it.
It's like Parappa the Rapper, man. You rub it. Oh, man. Anyway, Dreamcast was great.
Getting stronger. And I think these turrets have been the big sore point. Immortals, this would be a very good break to get if they can knock down the mid turret. The map is still very closed, and CLG dig their heels in and defend. But aphromoo going to get himself poked out. Immortals, do they go for it?
Yeah, I mean, CLG are going back to the 1st round without the teleport available for Kassadin, so that's why Immortals pushing in on this turret. They have the pressure advantage. Now Huhi, though, after shoving the bottom lane, is heading up to mid.
They need to do something here. Immortals might have been looked to just dive and break it wide open.
And meanwhile, Huni is actually doing the blue buff right now, so they're at least getting something out of this for Immortals. And they just pushed Huhi outside.
Bit of a brute force there, but the Stixxay ultimate's going to try and clear the wave out, I think. Huni very threatening in the tower. He's going to fall. He just goes for it. Huni phase dives onto Xmithie. It's right over. Just a little short. Gets the ulti down, but he won't quite connect for the rest of it. CLG can maybe turn it around. Reingover. Big mistake. Gets himself stunned under the turret.
Huhi didn't go deep to the back line, though, because they're worried about the damage that Immortals could still put out. They do play it a bit safe there. They catch the 1 kill, they snared Reingover, and so they take that guaranteed small advantage, and it looks like they're trying to move it up towards the top side, but I think it might end at just that 1 kill. A little bit of an overstep from Reingover. He gets punished for missing that flash.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to actually back up Huni. Huni dove in, then Reingover's like, all right, it's actually tag teamed him out. Wildturtle was trying to back. At the same time, he was right off of screen. He is sitting on like 2,000 gold.
It's one of those things, whenever you see Immortals play, I always think of this story, because if you play with them in ranked games, how their communication is almost all Reingover talking to Huni and like, slow down, take it slowly here, move it slowly, back away. And like the whole team is trying to catch up to Huni's, pace.
Well, it's pretty breakneck as Immortals do claim the very key structure in the center of the map. And despite the gold still sitting effectively even here, almost 25 minutes into this game, Immortals have key territory that they've now taken and will once again gear up for the next fight around the Mountain Drake, where Immortals may look to win yet another spectacular team fight. But this is easily the closest of the 3 games we've seen so far. Everyone's just getting stronger. Stixxay with 2 items, looking good. CLG feels like they haven't found as much pressure, but again, the teams are just learning each other as they play the series.
And then they can still find time to dance in mid lane. This game's got it all. All right, here we go, fighting over the tunnels, though. I mean, taking down the tunnel network is not really ever highlighted, but every little bit does count. You definitely want to at least clean up the ones that are, around river and stuff. Uh-oh, here we go, though. More action.
Pobelter actually now 1v2. Can he get out of this one? Huhi going to dive himself forward. Big heal there from the ultimate, but Huhi wants it! Chases him, but Pobelter just has too much healing.
Whoa, he flashed for that, too.
Yeah.
Pobelter is going to walk away from it and try and heal back up off the minions.
And Xmithie sticking around and trying to force him off that turret, and that goes to save Pobelter so many times on this Vladimir. And he just got pressure alleviated.
Yeah.
Walk back up.
Look at this. They're roaming Adrian. He's in the river, threatening to roam up to the top side. So CLG know they can't make this dive.
It's a long
and,
lane.
you know, they fight him off of the turret. So good job there by Immortals. You know, they burned the Kassadin Flash, which is very big. One of those tools you talked about earlier, Pastry, getting the Shen even deeper into the back lines. That's one of the things that, you know, they would like to use offensively.
Part of the issue as well is that you can see Pobelter just tanking everything because there is a notable lack of healing reduction at this stage. Morello's not yet there for Huhi. Executioner's Calling will come somewhere for Stixxay, but it's not exactly easy with the paths they've chosen to get it early. And Pobelter just has free reign until that point hits, and maybe even when it hits, he can just take over because Vlad is such a strong scaling champion.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who's going to have more damage dealt to champions, because Darshan and Huni are going to have a lot. They're constantly trading each other back and forth and getting back to lane and healing. But Kassadin also, Huhi, has been constantly just going straight to Pobelter's face. So the same story, they're just trading back and forth.
Yeah, it's kind of that agreement. You want to pad our stats, pad our stats. 80 carries both have the same damage. We can like do this as well. That's fine. But honestly, moving into the late game though, I'm really interested to see what ends up happening with the damage dealers on this team and the defensiveness, because CLG and Immortals both have compositions that you don't mind going late. You just look for these fights, and it's the setup that matters.
Yeah, right now Stixxay is peaking at the maximum flat armor penetration build, and he is ready to rip anyone who's out of position. Now, the good thing also about picking Ezreal into Jhin is that Ezreal does build some armor to kind of help with that and mitigate a little bit with that Iceborne Gauntlet. This Drake, though, maybe will be the thing that does spark the next team fight. Xmithie backing right now doesn't really signal anything because Rek'Sai ult is available, could pop back out. Wards go down.
The teleports everywhere. Everyone's got theirs up, but I don't think CLG fancy a contest just yet. aphromoo throws a chair in, looks for maybe a steal, but that's secured there for Immortal. CLG kind of gave up on that one.
Yeah, they've actually swapped up their allocations as far as split pushers go, too. Choosing to put Huhi against Huni instead, and Darshan taking the Vladimir duty because Kassadin not really making any ground there in the 1v1.
Yeah, but this is also a 1v1 that it just goes back and forth as well, and honestly, Vladimir killing the Shen probably not going to happen, and the Shen vice versa.
Yeah, I
not
think
gonna happen either.
I think it's a good choice there from CLG to switch that up because they weren't really gaining any momentum the other way around. Scuttle Crab there does go over to Xmithie. I lied. I have not been keeping track of that. I said I was going to do it. I'll say it's 17 to 12.
Well,
Ooh.
I have to check later. See just how good you are, Professor, as Immortals still moving their way down mid lane. Again, it's been such a delicate game these teams are playing in. Nobody wants to get themselves caught out in a silly spot. CLG are pretty firmly committed to a 1-3-1 here, and Immortals are doing their best to answer despite only one teleport versus the two and the Shen ultimate. Huni going to get himself the blue buff. Immortals are certainly getting stronger, but Baron is probably our next point to look at now. We saw the Scuttle Crab vision go down. Teams are likely going to move their way over and try and knock that down. But that's still like a million turrets up on this map.
Yeah.
So it's not really a whole lot of room to wiggle around.
Yeah, there's only 3 turrets gone. There's very little in terms of long lanes, and they're playing these long lanes appropriately, allocating their vision control to that side and usually keeping their jungler around that area, because you can see right now, Huni having to actually back off a little bit because Xmithie's there, but on the opposite side, Pobelter gets to push Huhi in. So it's just honestly trading of these lanes and who gets to push in first, and it just goes back and forth.
Yeah, both of these teams fighting tooth and nail in match number 3 here, having the series tied up. And this does, you know, it does mean a lot moving into the gauntlet, even if, you know, neither of these teams count on what happens tomorrow. If they find themselves in the gauntlet, you know, seeding there does matter as well. One less best of 5, they talked about it. Right now, though, heading over, vision control can earn you something. CLG, though, they do have vision.
TP from Huhi and from Darshan. They're all coming in.
And Immortals play it safe to actually pull pretty firmly off that Baron. Xmithie may be caught, gets ulti back by Reingover, flashes out to safety and will tunnel back towards aphromoo. That's going to keep him safe, but Darshan a little far in. Huni actually getting chunked out a bit by the ulti as Huhi's going to chase him 1v1, but CLG still getting collapsed on here. Immortals looking for something.
Yeah, 2 top laners there trying to kite the opponent team, and we have a merry-go-round. They find each other at the Raptors, though.
Maybe going in again. Wildturtle actually DPS down, but Huhi with a big amount of burst. Good threaten, snare, lands in, but it doesn't quite connect on to Huni. Good damage. but Immortals just kind of slowly creeping their way forward. They're a little too tanky for CLG, I think.
Yeah, and they've got that sustain. Pobelter on the front lines on Vladimir, continually soaking and healing back up.
And Huni just went back, got home guard, ultied in. So now they continue their siege.
The never-ending siege perhaps there as Immortals. Pobelter again just going to soak damage out from the Jhin. CLG just can't seem to get in at all.
Well, they don't have wave clear. That weakness that we highlighted before and is so constant with the Kassadin. Yes, Counter Logic Gaming, they have kill potential and chase down potential. It has to come from an all-in confrontation, though. You can't just wave clear, add a turret, and Immortals keep it up. They've got the Vladimir sustain and that ultimate from Huni that you mentioned, Irene, getting right back in there with the home guards.
Yeah, and if this composition ends up getting a Baron buff on Immortals side, CLG, it's so difficult to clear these waves normally, let alone have that on top of it, and they want them 1-3-1 sometimes on Immortals, that you would lose a whole lot off of that. More than you normally would with somebody like a Sivir on your team.
Additional pressure, though, still mounting as Huni, I think, has been in a side lane. I mean, with Darshan, to be fair, pretty much for the duration of this game. Very rarely these teams grouping up, and it does feel like CLG, despite the gold lead not being particularly significant, the Immortals just have maybe a bit better of a plan or composition moving towards this late stage of the game. Yes, they can break it open, but CLG have pacified a little bit moving into this section of the game, and Immortals seem to be happy to play a little more patiently, which is a scary thing versus a team that usually plays so fast and so aggressive.
Recognizing their win conditions right now, Pobelter needs to get up to a point where he's pretty much unstoppable. And then Huni, though he does have a little bit of an advantage, but I still think that he really wants to hit that item break point, get to a Titanic Hydra, have a way to get the back line and blow them up, because he's been on Stixxay and Huhi duty pretty much all game long, keep a damage dealer occupied.
Also, it's interesting if we look at both lineups. The Immortals lineup, the damage is spread out a little bit more evenly, where they have a top laner, Huni's built some damage as well, and a lot of defense is being built on Turtle. So Turtle's building, to survive with this Ezreal, whereas CLG, it's pretty much pure damage from Stixxay and pure defense from Darshan on the Shen, because there's no way that Shen is going to be able to match up with the late game damage of Echo there as you get into it, even though pass-through Qs on the Shen sword do go unnoticed by a lot of tanks.
Make no mistake, I think a successful fight for CLG is when Pobelter dies, and he's just so impossible to kill. Although Stixxay does now have the Executioner's Calling, so we'll cut through some of that. It's curious to think what a winning team fight for CLG might look like, but they're happy to play the split push game, and maybe that's what they have to do here.
It'll probably look like Stixxay has his IE completed and he's critting Wildturtle out of a fight, or getting a really good ultimate to pick off Pobelter, because he does get quite low.
Very well could be. Also could look like a side lane victory. Both these teams are built well equipped to do the 1-3-1 and do this split push, and whoever does get the first side lane advantage can then try and transition that into objectives afterwards. But man, this game bouncing very, very precariously.
And you were talking about how this matters a lot right before the Baron was on the table for Immortals. Immortals, difference between 1 best-of-5 or 2 best-of-5s. If they lose this match, they are guaranteed to play a team, or have to play a team if they want to get to Worlds, that has already beaten them, whether it's Cloud9 or CLG.
Well, Huhi does get a tower down finally. Baron, a little bit of a threat, but that next Drake's going to go over to Immortals. And then Elder Dragon will be on the table, and we're pretty late into this game. These big objectives starting to matter a whole lot. Yeah,
and both teams starting to run a little bit thin on vision. Immortals run very quickly up off the Dragon to make sure that nothing's on the Baron. And there's another ring around the Rosie. Here's turn 2 as Huhi finds Pobelter.
I mean, he's actually doing decent damage now. Lich Bane helping out. I was going to say in the Huhi-Darshan matchup, I didn't expect something to happen, and then it did, and I kind of learnt my lesson. For a while there, Huhi and Pobelter meeting, I was just like, I'm not even going to watch it anymore, because they weren't killing each other. But Huhi is actually stacking up damage.
Yeah, Kassadin almost level 18 gets really scary for any members, even frontline members. But honestly, even with a Hex Drinker on Wildturtle and being Ezreal, still going to have to watch out for that Kassadin diving, because he's got partners and he's going to have cover fire from Stixxay.
Yeah, and if he gets those last 2 items, which what I assume would be like a Void Staff and maybe a Death Cap on top of it, would be incredibly powerful, and that means that Pobelter can have a much harder time staying alive, and if you can get him to half HP, Stixxay might be able to take care of the rest, and you could remove a Vladimir, which has been so hard to do.
35 minutes into the game, and we are only maybe 200 gold apart for these 2 teams. Is going to come down to that in-game play. Here we go, set up on the Drake once again. They do have a CLG ward, but I doubt they'll get anyone over there because most of the team is in the fountain.
I mean, if CLG have demonstrated anything this particular game, it's that they are more than happy to play patiently here. They trust in their team play, but I think sure Immortals do as well. And there's the Drake, Elder Dragon now on the table.
And these moments in this game where it's so even and both teams are kind of playing around each other and answering each other's moves, you're just waiting for that one break point because this matters for momentum in the series and putting them on match point.
Pobelter!
Here's that side lane we talked about for the advantage. Huhi, though, gets collapsed on.
Huhi, the Sonya's baits there. Reingover going to turn around and Huni collapses. Immortals this time beat them to the 5-man.
You could tell he knew that it was time to pull off, and he started to back away, but a good little bait there as Pobelter just hung his leg on. Hey, you sure you don't want to finish me? And Huhi actually takes the bait. Reingover comes in for the collapse, and they get the advantage. Now, can they turn it into something on Baron?
Exactly, and that's just over-eagerness there from Huhi. He wanted something to happen, and that's the point of the game. It's so stressful. You want to be the hero, but you also don't want to be the person who puts your team behind, and it ended up being his team had Pobelter's back.
Immortals pull off the Baron, but no threat just yet. They can keep going. I think they did keep the health down.
Yeah, Vladimir can tank Baron pretty easily and heal back up.
Yeah, they want to stall for Huhi because he has TP. If they're able to keep this up.
10 seconds away, it's not enough
Xmithie's
time.
in the pit.
They have to do it. Stixxay critting everybody away, and this Baron is so low. They're just going to stand here and fight.
Xmithie's so low!
Doing a lot of damage. It's going to get it. It is Gragas. Reingover takes the Baron, and Immortals weather the storm and are able to keep moving in. Darshan here is on. Here comes Huhi. He must save the day here. And he goes in. Looks for Adrian. Doesn't find him. Pobelter still taking there on the front line as Darshan dives into the back. Huhi does pop the Zonyas in. And he's trying so desperately. Does get turtle, but he needs to survive. Dies there to Reingover after Riv walks away. Darshan is going to lose the GA. And Stixxay has barely limped away. I spoke too soon.
Can he do this?
They're going to chase him. Actually, Stixxay.
He's got a crit. He's got a crit.
Darshan actually still pretty big. Pobelter needs to die. But Darshan gets him in 6. They just can't make his way back in.
Ooh, we're going to need to see that fight from the very beginning again because it's hard to see the trades going on in the back of Baron Pit with 8 people, I think, behind Baron right there. Spikes hitting everyone, and Immortals do come out with the victory.
And it's amazing here as well because Immortals all pull off of it and damage Xmithie because he comes in and look at his HP. He's full. And then they stop DPS. Baron at 2,600. Now, all on Xmithie. Look at how low he gets. He is almost dead right now, and now the CLG saying, burn it. Almost in smite range there, and he goes down right before.
Meanwhile, Pobelter was zoning the outside here with Stixxay. Stand United comes in, and they're able to chunk down Huni. Don't get that last auto for the Braum stun. Would have been Huni's death, disallowing him from using his ultimate. But he gets it off. Then Huhi goes to the other back line, takes out Turtle, and sacrifices his life. Right here, I was questioning if Stixxay was going to stick around after he kills Reingover.
Reloading.
Help Darshan, but he is reloading.
Yeah.
And gives up on Darshan. Yeah, probably the best decision to get out of there.
Yeah.
Very, very close. And CLG do have to deal with a Baroned up Immortals team now.
Yeah, he was reloading and then he wanted to just hit the minions 3 times and have that crit come back in. But by the time that happened, Darshan wasn't able to outlast.
Can't get too close to Vladimir because the Ties of Blood was already charging. Meanwhile, extra bonus here for Immortals. They get to use this Baron buff to take down some extra turrets and increase that gold lead.
Yeah, meanwhile, on top side of that, Huhi is just pushing up there, and that's going to be Immortals wrecking through the base. Talked about how when they get a Baron, they're going to take so much.
Yeah, it's just too much damage there. They're going to move in for the inhibitor to be able to take it. Huhi's back now, but that inhib's already dead.
Yeah, he doesn't have teleport anymore because he just used that in the re-engage at the Baron, so no way he can get back to try and clear this wave. CLG lose the inhibitor.
Oh my god, Turtle safe there from the shields. Immortals make sure to defend their own. They'll back away safely as CLG. Starting to feel like they're a little too far behind now. Immortals just needed one fight. And Stixxay again almost turned it around. These fights have been insane all series long.
Yep, what a fight it was. Immortals not done yet though. Moving up the mid lane to try and get inhibitor turret number 2 with the Baron buff.
You know they have to do something now. They're going to look for a play, but Immortals just going to dive them, I think. Darshan already used the teleport. Ulti from aphromoo is pretty good there on the Braum, but they're just going to take the turret down. Huni getting a little too low, does ulti out to safety. Pobelter taking in the front lines and the turret. Does fall to Immortals. Stixxay lining it up, but he needs to shoot someone down. Reingover running interference in the front line, but Huhi does take him down. Now Stixxay, you're trying to turn it around. Xmithie, absolutely massive knock-up. Turtle's going to go down, and CLG flip it again!
Immortals dare to reach too far there into the CLG base. They claim 4, and they're running it back up mid lane. How many turrets can they take?
I don't think they'll be able to end the game. There's 40 seconds as well. They have
I said,
so
how
many
many
to
turrets?
do.
No,
I know. I'm just tempering expectations. Tempering expectations.
There's one.
Yeah.
CLG gonna move in for a second. Darshan happy to face tank this. Mini's gonna join in. Huni back here to threaten. The answer may just be 2 here. CLG do get 2 down the mid. Do they keep going? In fact, they're gonna split up. Huhi and Xmithie gonna work together, and this will be 3. CLG doing big damage to Immortals. Still going. These death times are long.
Yep, and that Matthias Soul Stealer, he was sitting on a Dark Seal that had 10 stacks already. Hasn't died yet for Huni.
I love it when you raise the stakes like that. Now we've got the Medjais in the game as well. Back to this fight, though. Let's take a look at this extension, because Huni goes back in, and it takes multiple snares from CLG under turret, while Immortals are tanking that turret damage. Huni gets locked up. There it's going to be for him. And he ults right back out, but then they exchange front people here.
Yeah, and it takes so much damage onto Huni, but Pobelter only got 1 person with his Hemo Plague. It was the engage there from Reingover, and aphromoo able to actually block a little bit of it, but then the re-engage, the flash knock-up from Xmithie, and the only person who survives is Huni, because his stacks. Gotta keep him safe.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about this comp, right? They don't have very much wave clear, but if you get to the point where you're losing the fight, it's so hard to disengage from Jhin, Kassadin, Braum, and then Xmithie goes in with the flash to secure the re-engage there for CLG, and they do get some back. I have to say, though, regardless of that, Immortals still in control of this game, and they're looking to press it.
Well, if you like raise stakes, Kobe, Elder Dragon is now alive, and Baron's up in a minute 35, so everything's on the line, and Immortals have actually straight up started it already.
Yeah, and Huni in the base, waiting for a TP home guard play here, and Stixxay off on the side. He's still trying to walk towards this fight, and Darshan as well. But here comes the TP. It's on top of where Stixxay is.
Oh, Stixxay, it's not a good spot to be standing, but Huni does not
He's just
chase
buying
in.
time. The Dragon's going to go down.
Immortals are actually still doing it here. Stixxay opens up with the ultimate. Immortals need to move back in. Hui's in the backline. He actually chunks one out. Reingover getting low. Reads the crit there as Xmithie takes him down. CLG trying to keep fighting into Hui's going ballistic as he pops the Zhonya's. Pobelter, the only one left. He takes out the Kassadin.
Oh,
Xmithie have done it. Stixxay gets out of Pobelter. Gonna flip it all around. Huni now diving in onto Darshan as he's gonna get chased out of Pobelter. There's the triple kill. Darshan now gonna get locked up, and Immortals win a very scrappy fight.
These are so intense with multiple bots. Darshan's going to teleport out.
They're already cutting him off, though. He's not going to make it out of this, even if he accepts it.
Xmithie maybe not going to make it as well. In fact, Pobelter and Adrian want more. They're going to try and push the minions down to the bottom lane.
Is he trying to delay back so they can get up to the second inhibitor here? There is an exposed inhibitor that Immortals could go after in the mid lane if they transition up. But they're
if you think about the wave clear, though, they might try to end the game right
Darshan's
here,
gonna
but
cut the
Darshan.
He's got to run interference. He pops the refuge. Pobelter, though, still doing a little too much work. Turtle now laying in the damage as Xmithie disrupts 2 there with a knockup, but he doesn't have anything. He shreds as Immortals are able to take him down. Pobelter gets himself another. Darshan chasing in the GA's pop, and Immortals, I think that's enough.
Well, 3 seconds on Huhi, though. He's about to be back up.
They're trying to buy time for those reanimations as Hui's back up.
This game's getting silly as Hui's now back up. Pobelter keeps moving his way back in. Shields there from Adrian, keeping him safe. Pobelter feeling immortal this game.
I'm thinking through this call to try and cut the minions because it's very, very risky. And you're pretty much putting yourself out there just to get killed. Now, if you wait and fight under the Nexus turrets and you try and use your taunt and something like that to force them off the Nexus turrets, then maybe you delay that way as well. Regardless, Immortals get some extra kills off of it. They also return back and finally do claim that Elder Dragon.
It's a 3-stack as well for themselves. Those 3 previous Drakes they had picked up, a lot of burn here, and with an Ezreal and the poke that they have, it's going to be very meaningful.
2 minutes now. CLG have to play some pretty immaculate defense, or Immortals are going to run straight through the base.
And Baron is what they're going to try to look for to help them run through the base.
I
Right
don't
on it.
think this is contestable.
Xmithie's on the other side, though. Xmithie has a place where he's out of vision.
Steal,
He's trying to go for it!
How could I? Oh my God! Xmithie steals it from Immortals.
And they got Pobelter!
CLG, the medic to get it. Darshan looks up to in the backline. Huni melts there as Immortals.
What? Are you kidding me? CLG are going to take the team fight, and now they have Baron, but they can run it through after.
And Reingover's trying to buy time. He's trying to cut the minion wave. so that they can't push up. They have super minions down here. It's going to be a little bit harder to push than they want, but Darshan is so tanky. If CLG put their minds to it, maybe they can still accomplish it.
They're looking to at least claim Reingover's life here as they close in on him. Stixxay doesn't hit the snare, though.
Reingover's just buying time. Huni's back in base safe as well. Reingover, I think, is going to die here still, but he's bought plenty of time.
Yeah, exactly. 20 seconds on Pobelter, and CLG aren't going to be able to push a turret off of this just yet. They might be able to get that bottom, but that buys time, and we're going to get another fight, gentlemen.
What a back and forth series here. Everyone thought it was going to be a landslide with CLG being underdogs, and Immortals going to show back up in the third place match, just like in spring when they righted the ship and they easily dispatched. But CLG pushing up on the turret. They're going to use that Baron buff and get some more gold.
I apologize for ever doubting CLG's late game, even if I think that the comp may have slightly favored Immortals, because CLG going to knock down another turret. Immortals still, I think, maybe 1 or 2 with the Elder Dragon buff, but they're going to break straight through bottom lane here. Immortals, they're not back up. Reingover still down for 25.
Yeah, with that Lich Bane, they just shred through these structures, and they get that inhibitor so quickly, they're able to just back off.
Have to get out though. Huni going to try and chase. He's very sticky.
You never just back off against the Immortals, I guess. Huni looking to keep him around, but they are going to do just that.
Let's see this. Pobelter ends up getting picked off here at the very beginning of the fight. Let's look very closely at how that happened, because it's such a good entrance here for Xmithie. Really saves this right here. Pobelter, okay, what happens? 490 gets shot there, down, knocked up, blown up. Huhi jumps in and gets his full combo on him, and aphromoo had knocked him up at the same time with the Braum ultimate, and it's clean up from there.
They were able to stun lock. He didn't get off any of the healing, didn't get off the Zhonyas. Actually, I didn't check the timer on the Zhonyas. Might have been down from that previous team fight, if we'll go back and look at that replay. Regardless, though, what an intense game. Now both teams down an inhibitor. Baron buff barely about to time out here for CLG.
Yeah, you're right. He still had it up, Kobe.
Okay.
48 minutes now, almost on the clock. As this game has gone late, the gold is still very close, but sadly irrelevant at this stage of the game. It's all execution when we get this late.
And we have seen CLG, MSI, gold deficits at this point in the game against Team Liquid, even at the Elder Dragon, coming back from a deficit of 10,000 gold. They are even right now, and they're going to try to prove that they have the team fight and get themselves one step closer to Worlds.
Meanwhile, Immortals looking for redemption again for a second split in a row. They don't want to stop here. They want that third place.
This is just insane. Like, this is game 3, the closest game we've had, incredibly tense. This determines almost everything for the rest of the series.
Immortals definitely need these championship points too. This is very important to them.
Well, CLG going to try and maybe play spoiler with an incredible Baron steal from Xmithie. Immortals are peeking around, trying to find a flank. They may have caught Huni, but Huhi maybe have caught them. Darshan moving back in to Stixxay and open fire. Pobelter, he's the man they need to kill. Huhi moving back in, but Pobelter pops us on his Immortals. Still chasing in. Is Huhi going to go down? Maybe Huni chases him down. Immortals maybe have done it. Xmithie going to get blown up here in the front lines, and CLG must retreat.
Yep, Huhi is down. They have to get out of there. Xmithie also going to follow him shortly after the GA, and Huni's still chasing him off.
And Pobelter didn't go down there. They tried to focus everything into him because it worked last time, but he ends up getting off his Zhonyas and an 1800 heal.
Oh, look at this. They just used the sweeper on the side of the screen here. CLG lying in wait. They're looking at any opportunity to catch Immortals by surprise because they know now they're down in numbers and their base is wide open.
Stixxay needs to have one real big play if they're going to maybe hold this here. Immortals, I think, can push in to try and end. The death time is counting down relatively quickly. Xmithie and Huhi will be back to reinforce in a second, and Immortals do have to chew through this inhibitor first.
It might just be a double inhibitor take for Immortals. Let's see if they decide to try for Nexus or take the second one.
They already have one Nexus turret down from previous.
Yeah.
They have a little bit of time here.
Darshan is so tanky. He's actually just buying as much time as he needs to here. He's still running interference, but Immortal's going to go for it here.
Apple's trying to block the turret from Wildturtle.
Stixxay, no, that's not where you want to be. Reingover knocks him back here, but there's no one there to collect him. He has to stay in. Adrian getting on top of Immortals. Going to look to end a Wildturtle. Finding his way around. And Immortals